All right. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Uncover with Dale. Thank you so much, Nick and Dale, for taking time to do this interview with me. I appreciate Kelly and all the other resources that helped me to set this interview up with you both. Before we get into your work with YFC, could you both kind of tell me a little bit about your history, how you got involved in this? Did you grow up in a military family? Nick, we can start with you, and then go to Dale.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much for having me.
Mhm.
So for me, both my grandfathers on both sides of my family actually served in World War II.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Awesome.
it must have skipped a generation because
Okay.
my dad did not, but my brother did. And it wasn't till a couple years after my brother served that I actually got the bug myself and commissioned as a chaplain in the United States Army.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was a
Lucky
very
for you.
different experience for me. But when I think of military kids, although that was not my experience growing up, I think of my own kids because
Yeah.
they've gone through the ringer with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your service. My sister, she's actually getting ready to retire next month as an Army chaplain as well. She started out in the Navy and then she went back in her 30s and now she's getting ready to retire. So thank you so much. And Dale, what about you? Did you come from a military background?
Yeah, no, I did not come
Mhm.
from a military background at all. I was a youth pastor down in Dunedin, Florida. And then my old worship pastor started to work with YFC Military. And he reached out to me and said, dude, you've got to check this out. You're going to love it.
Mhm.
I grew up being told to respect the military, obviously, and you say thank you and all those things. But
Mhm.
it never once crossed my mind that they had kids. I don't know why. I never even thought about that. But then when I
Right.
found out there are military teenagers, it
Yeah.
is just like it hit me really hard. Like, this is my chance to give back to a group of people that sacrificed so much for me. So if I can help with their kids, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So that's what I did.
That's wonderful, awesome. I know you guys are doing great things. I know the toil it could take on your life, traveling with your family, moving around, especially as a teenager. Your foundation is so important. Now, YFC's been in business for about 40 years, a nonprofit. So, could you tell me a little bit about the history, how it got started?
Yeah, I mean,
You
Youth for
guys.
Christ is a really interesting history. It
Mhm.
actually started in 1944 as
Wow.
young men were coming back from the war. They had a heart for missions. They had a heart to see the gospel proclaimed, and they wanted to see, especially in the lives of youth. And
Mhm.
so a bunch of gentlemen out of Chicago got together and said, this is something that we really want to do. And so
Oh my
they
goodness.
hired Billy Graham. He was our very first
Oh,
staff
wow.
person and began this mission called Youth for Christ.
Oh my goodness.
For all these years, YFC has reached teenagers, and it started in the early 1980s. A couple of Army chaplains saw what YFC was doing
Mhm.
with kids in their community and said, "Hey, we want that for military connected youth as well," and thus
Okay.
YFC Military was born.
Oh my god, it's great 'cause there's so many programs out there for the adults. I've never seen one just geared towards the youth. That's just wonderful. I know you guys are really changing lives, and how do someone approach you if they're interested? Like, if, for instance, if you wanna enroll your child or get them involved?
I think one of the best ways to do that is jump on our website at
Mhm.
yfcmilitary.org just to see what is the closest installation to you that has the program. And then from there, just reach out. It'll give you all the contact
There's
details, that
just
kind of stuff that you need. Yeah.
okay, and what does a typical day look like for a youth? Can you tell me a little bit about the program?
Nick, you want to take that or you want me to take
Or
it?
is it either way?
So, Dale, I'll let you get this one.
Right. It just depends on what the day is.
Mhm.
I know weekly we have these thing called club meetings, and that's where we invite military kids from every walk of life to come, just as you are. And those nights are filled with sometimes a snack, a homemade meal, but games just to break down those walls, to get to know each other a little bit more. And
Mhm.
those nights always end with a challenge of some sort, like focusing them back. Because in the military, obviously, the one consistency is the inconsistency. And
Mhm.
so what we offer them is like, man, there's a God that loves you, and that is going to be consistent across the board. So that's
Yeah.
never going to change. And so that's always the ultimate goal of building those relationships with them. So club night is outreach, fun, bring your friends, all those kind of things. And
Mhm.
then weekly small group meetings. is where for those kids that want to go deeper in that relationship with Jesus, we get together in smaller groups, look at parts of the Bible. How does that relate to your life as a military kid? And then how can God, connect with you on a deeper level through this? So you
Yeah.
got club meetings, small group meetings, and then you throw in throughout the year, hey, now we're going to camp. Now we're going to do this event, those different types of things. But on a weekly basis, we're always in relationships and building relationships with students through different activities.
I love how you've implemented the faith or how it was founded on faith.
Sure.
Our veterans we're in a crisis, as you can see, suicides, depression, and just being in this world without having any of that foundation, I couldn't imagine. And I know, you're starting with the children and you're making a difference, which is so vitally important today. Do you offer like mental health services, anger issues, anxiety issues to any of the teens involved?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. What we see in these kids is there's a lot of change, and a lot of those
Mhm.
support systems that would normally exist for kids just aren't there for a military connected youth.
Yeah.
The faith community, it's not like they can get rooted in a church or have friends that aren't going to be moving next year, or I'm going to be moving in 2 years. Like
Mhm.
everything is constantly changing, and we see higher rates of anxiety, of depression, of mental health concerns in military connected youth than we do see in their civilian counterparts.
Yeah.
So it's something that's really important. Thankfully, YFC is a mission that is not alone. There are a
Mhm.
lot of people who care for military kids, and one of the things that we deeply believe in is holistic ministry. That we want to link arms with other like-minded partners to bring
Mhm.
as much as we can to bear with these kids. So if kids are suffering, if they're going through a hard time, we wrap around those kids and we find them the support that they need, whether that's just to have a conversation with a leader or a mentor, just to hear them out, to remind them that they're noticed, or if they need something deeper, we're going to walk alongside those kids wherever their story takes them.
Yeah, and I know, going back to moving around a lot, I grew up in a similar situation, and I know it definitely played a role in, my personality. I could be withdrawn at times, isolating myself, maybe letting go of friendships too soon, just because you're afraid of getting to know someone because you move away, and
Mhm.
even, my husband, how he grew up, moving around, it definitely, affected his personality and how to, can do relationships. So it sounds like you guys are kind of bridging that gap, saying, "Look, you're not alone. It's okay to get to know people," and I'm sure they stay in contact once they leave your program, right? Do you encourage for them to keep, in contact with other youths or?
Definitely, especially if we know where they're going to be moving to next. If we have a program there, or we know of a program of some sort that we really trust and believe in, then we can automatically connect them before they even arrive at their next
Mhm.
duty station. So that way there is no wandering around trying to figure out. It's like we've helped bridge that gap already, which is really good. And I
Yeah.
think, well, I don't think, I know for a military connected youth, one of my favorite things about them is because they know they move so much, you're either the type of kid that you're going to jump in full force because you know your time is short. So like
Mhm.
there is no let me be shy and in the back and everything else. Like they come in ready and being loud and ready just to
Yeah.
meet people, which I love, which is awesome. But then
Yeah.
you have on the other side of that the kid that maybe because they know they're moving, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like I may show up, but I'm just going to be removed. I'm going to stay in the back. But those students to me are like, okay, you're the challenge. I got this. And it's just
Yeah.
more exciting, to reach out to those kids and get them involved and get them connected.
Do you see many cases where youth are coming from PTSD, family environments where maybe the mother or father got deployed, returned? There's a lot of anger in the household. Do you try to bridge those gaps, or do you try to involve the family in some way to try to bring healing to that situation?
Yeah, we're there for the whole family.
Mhm.
It's something that we want to be able to provide resources and support no matter where it takes them in. And you're right. And I say this as a service member, that PTSD, injuries, time away, all of that stuff is hard on those kids, because not only is life disruptive whenever you're going through a deployment cycle, it's the people that they trust, the people that they love are gone as well.
Yeah.
And they spend that time worried about their safety, worried about if they'll come home, worry about when they'll come home, and all that. And a part of our support of that family also involves us knowing that there's somebody there connecting with your kids while you're away. I know for me, when I was deployed, having a campus life director checking in on my kids, talking to them, getting them connected with friends, making sure they weren't isolating, made all the difference. And it was such a relief because I was half a world away. That
Yeah.
there's no way that I can do that for them. But knowing that there are caring adults who want the best for those kids made so much of a difference, even in my own story.
Yeah, yeah. And I think just dealing with those mental health issues right off the bat is just so important. Over 10% of prisoners incarcerated are veterans. We talk about that on my show. I actually interviewed one. He was actually recently exonerated for a case which DNA proved he didn't do it, but he just said there's so many veterans in there, and if someone could have caught them at the right time. I know we're talking about the youth, but I think it really starts there. Just getting that conversation out there, addressing those issues. Do you also offer family? I know you say you reached out to the family as well. Do you do like family days, family events to kind of bring the youth and the families together and maybe have those conversations as well at those events?
Yeah, and to me, those are some of the funnest, most fun,
I
whatever the
love that
English is.
word. I use it.
Yeah, is the funnest
It's funny.
is because
That's a
you
great
get to
word.
finally meet that family, and so you get a little more insight in what that student is going through in their own personal home life, which is cool. And so when families show up and you do activities together, just to see them interact with each other, they get to know you more as their campus life leader, and so that trust is starting to build. And it never fails. Like parents, like I'm a single guy, so I don't have kids, but a parent
Mhm.
will come to me and ask advice about their teenager, and I'm like, well, I don't have any teenagers, but I've worked with them all my life. So I can tell you these are some things that work. And it's also that funny thing that happens where we're coming alongside parents and we want to reinforce what their parents are reinforcing, obviously to help them. And their parents will say it and the kid won't listen. But for some reason, if another adult says it, all of a sudden it's magical and it makes total sense and they listen to it. And so just
Yeah,
offering help to parents in that way and to getting them out to an activity, parents want to have fun as well. So getting them to come to
yeah.
something that is fun and rewarding for them, it's something different that they don't do with their family, even after a long day of work. Like it's just something that a lot of parents look forward to coming to. So it's really cool.
Yeah. And your organization runs year round, I'm assuming. So you have activities. So this summer, I'm sure you're going to have a host of events. Could you tell me a little bit about what's coming up for this summer? The weather's getting nice. I'm sure you're
Well,
planning some outings, finally getting nice
that
in
depends on where
Colorado.
you are for the nice
That's
weather.
that's true. We just had snow last week in Parker, but
Oh,
it's up
Yeah.
and down here in Colorado.
Yeah, and so I mean, it really runs the gambit. We have sites in Europe, in Hawaii, and everywhere in between. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it really depends on what installation they're at.
Mhm.
One thing we really love is giving kids camp experiences, pulling them out of kind of their normal situations and putting them into an environment where they can have a new experience, disconnected from kind of the worries and troubles
Yeah,
of normal
the
day life.
TV, no TV, right?
No TV.
Yeah.
no
It's
The
social
games
media.
or social
yeah, no,
media, yeah. Yeah,
yeah, we
that's a
even
big
make them
one.
give up their phones for those days. But having kids,
Mhm.
like military connected kids, connecting with other military connected kids who understand the challenges of military life, it's such a rewarding and important moment for us. And so
Yeah,
this summer we have a lot of camps going down across the country. It's always exciting to see these kids go out on a ledge, try something new, do
wow.
something exciting, develop friendships that are going to last a lifetime.
Yeah, something that challenges them, instead of video games and like you said, Dale, social media, it's playing such a big role in how the youth. I can't imagine, not to tell my age, but I grew up with Atari, so it's like, now it's like nonstop. You can't turn off any of these distractions, and there was recently a documentary. I can't recall right now on Netflix, but it basically it covers a young man who's 10 years old, and he got involved in a crime, but it was all the peer pressure on social media. masculinity. That's a big topic today. You're seeing, I guess they call it toxic masculinity, where, just young men not connecting with who they are. So I'm sure your program addresses that as well. It's okay to show emotions and, be who
Yeah.
you are. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
and it's one of those things too that when they come to camp and we kind of give them a place to disconnect from those things, at first it's like pulling teeth. Like, I'm going
yeah.
to die if I don't have this. I'm going to, but it's really cool to see by the end of that week, that's not what they're thinking about anymore. It's because
Mhm.
you're with real people doing real things and having real conversations that aren't on a screen. And so it's really nice to see them reconnect with just, I would say, just being human, which
Mhm.
is really nice. By the time that camp is over, and then when they get that stuff back and they go back, like, I've heard story after story that I'm not really on there that much anymore, or I got back on it and then I realized, ugh, I don't really
You
like
don't
this.
miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the
Give them
parents are very happy when that happens. So
yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's like, oh, wow, I can actually have a conversation
yeah.
with you now. So that's awesome. And now I know you're nationwide. Do you partner with any other organizations like Project Sanctuary? They do a lot with families get together, or do you guys kind of maintain your own identity with Youth for Christ? Do
Yeah, I
you?
mean, one of
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh,
No, you're.
what one of our key pillars organizationally, and this exists in any Youth for Christ chapter that you go to, because there's thousands of them across the country, is that we believe in collaborative community strategies. I know one of the key partnerships that we have is working with military chaplains. They're the ones who are given the unique responsibility of providing for the spiritual growth of
Mhm.
the families that are under their care. And so a big part of our partnerships was with chaplains, with chapel programs that are going on. Like I mentioned before, any like-minded organization, like we are all about getting as many resources in the spots where they're needed most. And so
Mhm.
stepping into kids' stories as we learn those, we are actively trying to find spaces in which we can bring life into hard moments, difficult challenges, no matter what that kid's facing. But we also know that we can't do it alone. As much
Yeah.
as we love these kids, as much as we want to be there for them, there are going to be certain spaces and areas that are just outside of our expertise. And that's where, for us, collaborative community is the name of the game.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure you come across many youths in different circumstances. Is there like a time where you guys can share maybe where a youth's life there? I know you're changing lives already, but maybe just something that sticks in your heart, a situation with a young man or young woman that they really were able to navigate a difficult situation, or they just came out completely changed.
You want me to share one of those stories, Nick?
Yeah,
I want to, but I'll let you.
you both can share one if you like.
Okay. I mean, I have two, but I'll share one. So a couple years ago, I was over in England. So that's where I was doing YFC Military. I was there for 15 years and just recently moved back to the States. And I had a student who he had been in our program all through high school. So he had just graduated and moved to the States to go to college. That semester, because his family was still stationed over there, so he had to leave them and go back to the States. But that semester, while he was at college, his father passed away, who was the active duty member. And him coming back to base, to a place that's so familiar, but now it's completely changed because you've lost your parent, and reconnecting with him. And because of that relationship we had before, it was really important to be there for him, like getting messages from him and wanting to talk. And I'm sure you've seen in movies and TV where they have to bring the body in a casket with a flag over it onto the plane and
Mhm.
stuff. And so he had asked that I would be there during that time for him, and going to, like, I've never experienced something like that before in my life, but watching this high school boy just completely break down because of what he is experiencing, but being able to go beside him in that time, and be physically present with him in that moment because of the relationship that this program has built, and because his relationship with God, like, it was difficult, but he did make it through that, obviously. And it was really hard, and it was really cool because all the things that I've been through with him We just did an event in Hawaii, and he's in school in Hawaii now. And so he came and was a part of that event to help us be seen, to help us get the word out there about who we are. And so it's really cool to see God use him just as a student before, but have that relationship with him through very hard things. But then all of a sudden, full circle, come back and love and support a program that was there for him. And he's now being there for us. And I just think that that is just a really cool story.
Oh my God, I love that. We interview so many veterans who are giving back because it's helping them heal also through whatever trauma they've went through. I love to see that. Oh my gosh, it's a great story. Nick, did you have one for us?
Oh, I have so many, and
Yeah,
honestly,
so many. These are great. I just life
I love
changing.
telling their story
Yeah.
because these are kids like Dale mentioned that often go unseen. They're 1.6 military connected youth across this country, but for the most part, people just don't think of how much that they have to give, they have to sacrifice,
Yeah.
because their parents are service members. A few weeks ago, I was with a kid, and yeah, he was telling me just kind of his story. He was on his 9th move in 12 years. He had constantly been changing, and this new duty station, he just wasn't feeling like he was connected. He knew a lot of people, but military kids, they get used to just kind of like going in the background and just kind of like sitting on the sidelines, and that's where he was. And through the program that we had going, he started to make friends, and this really was a turning point for him, where he felt like he could finally be himself. And there was so much of hesitation that was just unleashed in this kid. Because he was given people who cared about him. He was given an opportunity to share his story, and that made the world of difference for him. And it's a privilege just to come alongside and serve these young people.
Yeah, and community, which you just hit on too, just someone coming beside you, knowing that you have someone in your corner and someone who is a safe space also where you can talk to somebody about what's going on with the family. It's just, you guys are doing a great work. I love seeing this. I love, seeing lives changed. And again, it just starts at this age. It really does. Do you have any upcoming? I know you mentioned some things coming on this summer. Are there any new developments with your organization? Any changes or things like that coming up? What do you guys?
So many changes.
So many changes. Hopefully, good changes. Hopefully.
So one thing I would point to is April is the month of the military child. This is a unique time of the year, and it has been for the last 30 years, where we have taken a moment just to recognize the sacrifice and let these military kids know that we see them. We see them right where they're at. And so this has been a big month for us as we've been trying to tell their story and get more and more people aware of the unique challenges that these kids are going through.
Yeah. And I'm just going to pull up your website here so we can kind of go through this. So this says April is the month of military child, military. So pretty much, what does this exactly mean again? Is you guys are gonna? Is it hosting a child?
Yeah, it's an awareness month.
Okay.
So we tell the story of these amazing kids through social media. Through we in the middle of the month we have a thing called Purple Up, where people wear purple to recognize military kids. Purple, the reason why it's purple is it's the combination of all the colors of the different branches. So you have green being the Army, blue being the Navy, blue also being the Air Force, red being the Marines. You combine them all together and you get purple. And these kids are the combination of a lot of stories. And so we try and tell their story. We try and really promote what they're going through so people can step alongside and help them out.
Okay. So you have personalized mentors. And forgive me if you mentioned this earlier. Each child has their own individual mentor, correct? To kind of go alongside them, or mainly, are they just kind of group events?
So we at every installation we have programming. We vet and include volunteers, and they can be any walk of life, from service members who love kids, who are new in their career, they get to this installation, they want to be a part of something.
Mhm.
To parents, to chaplains, to even just veterans who all care about military kids, we want to connect the stories
Mhm.
of these kids with caring adults. I firmly believe that
Yeah.
every single kid is one caring adult away from a very different story. And if we can connect them to that right person, that person who cares for them, who wants to know what's going on and was willing to share their story too,
Mhm.
that can change the trajectory of so many of these kids that are going down some more difficult paths.
Yeah.
So a huge belief in us is connecting those kids with caring adults.
Yeah,
If
I
we could
love it.
have one mentor per child, what an amazing world we would live in.
I
If we
know,
could
right?
just have that many volunteers.
Yeah. That would be amazing. Yeah, but it looks like your website is pretty straightforward. You can join, find a ministry, something that you connect with, even if maybe you play the clarinet and you want to teach a vet, a vet's child how to play an instrument. So your organization is so welcoming, and it's just it's accepting people as they come in. It looks like, whatever gifts you might have to share with someone. And also, you partner financially as well, which anyone can just go to your website and support your ministry. I love it.
Yes, sir.
So I know we've covered a lot. You have a lot going on coming up this summer. Is there anything out there that you would like to share with anyone, particularly about your organization? You've shared some great stories, how you're touching lives with the youth, faith-based ministry, which is so important in this broken world, to navigate this world without your faith. We talk about a lot. I can't imagine. But, anything you 2 would like to, leave with the audience and share and about your organization be great. Yeah.
Jump into this really quick. Um, I think something that is really important for people to understand. Most people, I think, look at a military teenager and just think teenager. Like that's just another teenager. That's just this.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is when it comes to a military teenager, you think of your average civilian teenager and the stuff they go through. I mean, you've got puberty, peer pressure, fitting in, all these different things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your average teenager. But then when you talk about a military connected teenager, you have all those things, but then you add on to it uh, parents getting deployed. Well, they come back from deployment. I have to move every 1 to 3 years. I'm always
Yeah.
saying goodbye. I'm always trying to make new friends. I'm trying to fit in here and do this. And all these different stresses and responsibilities they have to take on when their parent is deployed. And so you have your normal teenager, but then you have a military teenager, and the pressure is just way different. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing for people to understand is they did not choose that.
Right.
They didn't choose to be born into that life. They didn't choose those kind of things. And so when you see and you think about a military connected youth, just know it's not usually the normal kind of teenager that you have in your head that you're used to. They are going through so much more. And to
Mhm.
me, that is something that really hit me really hard. Like I was only supposed to be a part of this ministry for 2 years, and now it's been 17 because I have fallen in love with this group of people, these group
Yeah.
of teenagers, and just what they do, the sacrifice that they make for us because they don't have a choice. And I think that is something
Mhm.
that story deserves to be told. That story deserves to be heard. Like that is huge. And that's the kind of thing, like we want people to know that, hey, if that is something that hits you in the heart, if that is something that you can connect with, no ministry happens without finances. That's just the truth
Right.
of it. That's just how it works. And so that giving page on our website and stuff, we're looking for people who want to make a difference in the lives of these students. And
Mhm.
yes, obviously you can pray, and that is a huge part of it, but you can play a
Yeah.
bigger part in that by giving. And so I would challenge people, man, if their story like hits your heart or hits home for some reason, then act on that feeling. Just don't let that slide by because these kids, they're one of the most overlooked and unseen group of teenagers in the world. Like,
Yeah.
we just want them to be seen. Like, they need to know that they matter. They matter to God. They matter to you. They matter to us. And the best way to do that is just to help them be seen through all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Thank you. Oh my gosh, yeah. There's so much you can do, and you guys are doing it. You're starting right where they need you because again, they'll get misunderstood, and maybe get in trouble, because of anger issues or just frustration. So, yeah, thank you, Dale, for sharing that. Nick, is there anything you would like to share with the audience about your organization before we start wrapping up?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't said it better than Dale did.
Yeah.
The reason I'm passionate about this is because I've seen it in my kids. I've seen them have to go through those cycles, the questions of I don't know where Dad's at. I don't know when he's coming home. Seeing my wife have to be that single mom, and while
Yeah.
I've been away at training, at deployment, and knowing that there are people out there who care about this next generation of leaders, who are
Yeah.
willing to step in and learn their story,
Yeah.
to find them where they're at and go, like, it's such an encouraging thing, and we only do that through the support, and honestly, like, being
Yeah.
able to tell their story, given platforms even like this,
Yeah.
is such
Yeah.
an honor to be able
Yeah.
to stand up for these military kids. So thank you for having us, for highlighting these amazing kids that are
Oh,
out
you
there
You're
everywhere.
welcome. Yes, definitely. You're welcome. And I just thank you all for what you're doing because, again, I believe these youths they have been left behind, just like a lot of other troubled youths who are non-military, come from non-military families. And if we can stop it before their life goes astray, that one seed, just planting that one seed, that one kind word, giving your time to our youth, it definitely will make a difference in this world. And, speaking to people who have been incarcerated, it always starts somewhere, that anger. And so your organization's jumping in front of it and you're doing what you need to do. So I want to thank you, Nick, Dale, for taking the time. We would love to have you back on the show. This has just been amazing. And anyone else from your organization who would love to share a podcast, you're always welcome. So thank
Thank
you
you so
again, you
much.
both. You're welcome.
Thanks
You
for
both
having
take
us.
care. Thank you.
God
Take care.
bless.